Oh, what up, peeps? Happy Hallowicked. Happy Halloween month. Happy Horror Month. Horathon. Whatever it may be called from different people. Every year I watch Halloween all month, which I basically do anyway, but usually on October is when us horror fanatics show you on the camera. And you have all the other horror fanatics like my homie, the 13th Wolfman, and Horror Show 3000, The Midnight Crawler, Dr. Movie, and they'll all be doing it. And usually, we never know what we're going to watch, but I thought of this idea last year after it's too late, after I already watched what I was going to watch. So I've been waiting all year to do this idea. 31 Nights with the King, Stephen King. And my wife has got involved. You won't see her on video because she wasn't having none of that. You will see her hand and her voice in this little clip where she had this idea of putting all the names. We picked all the titles together, and then she put all the names on these little pieces of paper to randomly choose a title. And she pulls the name out of this little glass skull. So let's cut to that right now.
Day 1 of 31 days of Stephen King is Creepshow 1.
And yeah, that's what we watched was Creepshow. Kick-ass horror anthology created by the masters of terror and the macabre, George A. Romero and Stephen King. Has 5 stories wrapped into one. Starts off with the opening of this little boy with a comic book. His dad takes this comic book and throws it out. And then I guess we're watching stories from the comic book. It has first story is I think called Father's Day, about this crazy old man. I think his name was Nathaniel or something. He was an abusive father, and all he yelled about was, "I want my cake, Bedelia, you bitch! You're a bitch, get me my cake!" And all he did was abuse her. She got sick of hearing it and eventually bashed his head in with a ashtray. Cut to years later, you got a group of the family meeting at the house, and she stops to visit his grave, and he comes back alive and kills her. And one of the other guys that's at the house goes to check on her and gets a tombstone knocked over his head. And then the zombie father, I think his name was Nathaniel or something, he goes to the house and rips this other woman's head off and puts candles on it and says, "I finally got my cake." You got a story with Stephen King, starring Stephen King. He's Jordy Verrill, a little country hick that lives in the backwoods, and a meteor falls in his yard, and he touches it. Not to mention, I guess the shit from the meteor went all over his property, because all this green grass and weeds and stuff sprouting all over the place, all over his yard, all up his house, and starts to turn him into some kind of plant monster. He's going nuts. He hears his father talking to him, and he keeps talking to himself, and he's drinking alcohol, and by the end of the story, he just looks like a tree or something, and he puts himself out of his own misery, shoots himself in the head. There's my favorite story on this is I think it's called The Crate. It's at a school, and this janitor or someone finds a crate under these stairs. It's a really old wooden crate with chains on it, and him and another guy break it loose and find a unfriendly character called Fluffy. You only know that if you're a fan and you've googled and looked up stuff, but it's a big hairy like ape monster with these razor sharp teeth, and if you go near his box he kills you. He kills a few people, and this one dude who has an abusive wife that screams and yells at him all the time, he ends up luring her there so he can eat her. Then there's a story with Leslie Nielsen. He knows his wife is cheating on him, and he gets a hold of the guy and her and buries them neck deep in a beach, records it, and watches it on his video at home on his TVs. They eventually come back, look like some swelled up zombie monsters, and they return the favor and do the same shit to him. And the last one on here is my least favorite, about this rich guy who's like a germophobic and hates bugs and roaches and keeps trying to spray and kill every bug he sees. Then they end up overriding his hotel room and killing him from the inside out, crawling all up inside his body, bursting out his neck, and it's alright, I guess, but my least favorite of the stories. Kick-Ass Anthology Part 2 is on the list somewhere, but there's no list because it's been sliced up and through in a skull. Somewhere along the line we'll be watching it. I like it too. That's what I watched. Happy Hallow Wicked. Peace.